Did you know that somebody you know right now, who you talk to every day, who smiles and laughs with you every single moment, is silently fighting a battle, challenging themselves to just put one foot before the other, to get out the bed, to just go forward? There's somebody right now close to you who seems like the life of the party, who seems beyond happy, who you look up to, may even question would they have any motives to do anything different. And they're silently fighting a battle. There's somebody listening right now who I'm talking to. A little bit over a year ago, I lost my best friend to suicide. He decided to make a decision because he can no longer battle his depression. He can no longer battle the torment that he felt. And I can only imagine what he went through. And ever since that day, I have made it my personal mission to reach out and be the ear, to be of help to someone. If you or someone you know is thinking of harming themselves or even harming somebody else, please don't. Please reach out and get help at the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255. Whether you know it or not, you are not the only one in this battle. So many others are there. So many of us are doing it silently and smiling every single day like it is nothing. If for some reason you do not feel comfortable enough to reach out to get help from them, you just don't want to go through the hassle, then feel free to reach out to me on any of my social media feeds with a simple message of, we need to talk. I will make myself available to you. I will battle this battle with you as long as I can. I will make it in such a way that you do not have to do it alone. And if you are one of those people who have reached a point where you know that you need the help, that you are ready to accept the help that you need, you can look into things like BetterHelp, where you can talk to someone. Doesn't cost you much. Some cases might even be free. Most insurance covers it. And if you're one of those people who want more of an in-depth review, where you need some couple therapy, whatever it may be, you can get help. But before you make a decision that we have to live with, please make a decision that we all can live with and get help. Now let's talk football. What's going on, Pride Nation? And welcome back to another Field Review podcast show where we talk all things what? Detroit Lions football. Now, this is going to be a little bit different because there's been some changes going on. I got to catch y'all up on what the deal has been. First things first, shout out to everybody who's in here with me. But you're going to see a lot of new familiar faces and a lot of new things happening because I have agreed to join the Man Hour show. And what that means is you can now hear this podcast not only on YouTube, but you can hear it on Twitter. You can hear it on Roku. You can hear it on Apple Podcasts. I mean, it's pretty much everywhere, right? We are doing some things a little bit different and getting bigger. Now, why have I been MIA? Well, my oldest boy graduated from kindergarten. Shout out to my oldest king. Shout out to you, sir. Yes, so proud of you. And so that entire time between work hitting me with overtime and him having what they call their spirit week up until the graduation, I was busy. Family man. I take my duties as a husband and a father very serious, and that's what it is. But what you're going to notice is there's going to be some new names in here, some new faces, some new people who will be joining us, and you will be seeing them from Facebook and a host of other people going forward, where I will still do my regular show. I'm just streaming to other people to hear it, so more and more people in Pride Nation can take it on. And for the people who are new, this is an open forum. I literally leave it open. If you disagree with me, I will give you your chance to come in and tell me I have lost my mind. But keep it respectful. We don't do politics or religion or any of that other stuff here. It's strictly football, strictly Lions. We do not do all the other stuff. The only thing you will see me do is at the beginning of every show, I will always do my message for suicide because it is something that's near and dear to me. And I always give you a positive message at the end of the show. So in the show generally runs between an hour to 2 hours. I have a lot to cover. I'm going to try my best not to rant today because I'm doing new audiences and I don't want them to think I've lost my mind. Okay? I'm probably going to rant. But let's see who's in the building with me today. We got my man Forbidden Knowledge in the building. What up, though? We got Chrome in the building. Looney Tunes in the building. We got my man One Funky Lion in the building. Tim Hutchins in the building. Vash Starwind. I was going to call him Starwind Vash. Why was I going to do that? Don't know. We got my man Joseph Osteen in the building. We got my man Lions Talk with Micro Mike in the building. Hey, yo, my man Anthony from over Roar the Lions UK. You got to check him out. My homeboy Mars Moon is in the building. He said Luke is back. Yeah, I was trying to get it done. Things got a little crazy. We got my man Drake Burns in the building. Caden Ellen is in the building. That Fan Man is in the building. Let me see. Chris Cashball is in the building. Antoine is in the building. Lion King is in the building. Make sure I ain't forgetting nobody, man. Make sure I ain't forgetting nobody. If you are new to the show, please post something so I can shout you out. You are a part of these conversations. You will get every opportunity to tell me I have lost my mind. I will say some things that sounds crazy. I just ask you to wait for them to age and then tell me how crazy I am. All right. We got my man's Lions Lee in the building. Sheldon McCray is in the building. The hair 95. I hope I said that right. It has been dry, man. I've been wanting to hop on for a minute too. My man William Birch, who's one of my other co-hosts, you'll see him on here too. And you know, rocking with me, he'll come in and tell me in a heartbeat I don't lost my mind. My man C Perry's in the building. I hope I'm gonna say this right. Matt DeYoung, displaced Lions fans from Houston. Oh, at least you got heat right now. At least you. I mean, it's hot here, but at least you got real heat. We got my man's Paul Jarose in the building. What up, though? Loving the hat, brother. Love the hat. All right, people. Let me just do the first things first. We got to get to water BS because while I was out, I have never seen such BS in my entire life. Yes, that's right. I'm talking about all the Lions fans who were caught in the trap by the anglerfish. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about all those people who didn't realize that they were being lured to their deaths by an anglerfish with the horrible takes and headlines that we jumped on. This is where I rant a little bit, okay? Shout out to you. He says too much heat. Too much heat. I can agree with that. First things first, people. Let me get through all the BS news that I just could not talk about. Should the Lions trade for Payne? Have y'all lost your mind? Why is it that every single time somebody comes up in free agency, somebody comes up as a release, why do we gotta get them? Why is everybody so hyped about every person who gets released? Why do it have to be the Lions? I have stalked so many other people fan bases to see if this happens. Only one other fan base does this, and we're still worse than them, and that's the Cleveland Browns. They want everybody. This has to stop. Why in the blue hill will we ever trade for a D tackle in the name of Payne after you literally just drafted Levi Onwuzurike, Aleem McNeil, literally got an Aiden Hutchinson? Oh, well, Luke, we lost Pennicini. Okay. You still got Michael Brockers. Slide his ass back over there. Why do we do this? I'm literally watching this news thing go on, and I'm like, this can't be real. And then we get this kind of stuff that happens. The headlines about, ooh, Malcolm Rodriguez, he could be in the starting lineup. For who? When? Where? How? How was that even a headline? They don't even have on pads. I don't think they're wearing cleats. Are you serious? There's nothing about this guy that tells me he's going to be a starter. Could he make a starter down the road? Who knows? It's possible. But why are we the fan base that will hype up Malcolm Rodriguez and then downplay the expectations for Jameson Williams, for Aiden Hutchinson, for Pascal? But all of a sudden now, Malcolm Rodriguez, in Houston, and the tight end, because you know what? We need a tight end too, and that's important. All those are going to be the killers. Where did y'all get this from? Like, I'm the king of pushing hopium. I will give you all the hopium you need in reality. But this is beyond hopium. This is a different drug. This is something that comes with, I don't know, the letter H. Sounds like a hair may end with N, like something like that. Something in that area. We cannot keep doing this. We can't. We can't take everybody. We can't trade for everybody. We can't sign everybody. And every person who comes in does not become the instant starter. This fan base has to start to deal in reality. So for that's where we pick this thing up. Shout out to my people, Dan Spano in the building. My man Detroit's on Big Will in the building. Shout out to the family, man. All right. Now, if you look at my thumbnails, and anytime I go live, my thumbnails will always be a key figure in what I'm going to discuss. And it's because with all the attention going to everything else, including Hard Knocks and all the other stuff that people really don't need to be putting their attention on, we really need to find a way to put stuff in perspective. We need to. We need to find a way to make it make sense. So I decided to start this thing off talking about one simple thing. Things that I think are going to be triggers, but need to be discussed. For example, the first topic, after I passed up my rant a little bit. All right. He said, shout out to my man, Lions Rebel 8081. He's another one of my co-hosts that be on here. It said the expectations of Jameson Williams and Aiden Hutchinson. We are hyped about Emrod, 3 different positions in 2 weeks. And was out there teaching the other rookies to scheme. Did they even wear socks? I'm not trying to be funny, but did he even wear socks? Come on, Will. Don't do this. It's too early. We got new people in the building. Don't do this. There's no reason for this man to have this kind of love. To wake me up when he's the week 1 starter. When he takes somebody's job, we can talk about it. Until then, I don't see it. Shout out to Dr. Detroit. He says, all right, been missing Luke Crazy. Appreciate it. So I miss y'all too. And I miss coming through doing this and having y'all telling me I'm crazy. Instead of looking at this and talking about these players who I think are going to be okay, I think they'll be fine. We need to focus on more important things, because I believe that there's some things going on. I saw an article today, and I want to make sure I don't botch the reading, but I believe it said that the odds were in the favor of Dan Campbell to be the first coach fired. Okay, this is what happens when you have no football. You got to come up with something, right? But the reality is this. There is a certain standard that I don't think Lion fans want to talk about, because the belief is, well, we're in a rebuild, right? And if you're in a rebuild, should nobody get fired to year 3? Wrong. Stop subscribing to these things that don't make sense. Y'all ain't gonna let me leave Malcolm Rodriguez alone, I see. He says, gotta watch the tape, Luke. He has the attitude and the skill set to come in and thrive in a room that is poor. He would be on special teams. I don't know if you're seeing behind the den and in the den, or on side of the den, left to the den, up to the den, and on the down to the den. But they just kept talking about him playing special teams, and he will be a special teams player. That is about the pinnacle of his rookie year. Sorry, not sorry. I don't see it. I don't. I would love to see it, but I don't. I just don't. He says, Luke, honestly, but it feels like you just upset because they didn't take Smith. No, we gonna see Smith. We gotta play the Panthers. There's no particular player that they could have taken that would have made me feel better, but there are certain players that they took that made me say, what's the game plan here? Because if you look at this roster, we are still in the same position that we were in before the draft. We still have a terrible linebacking room, and our secondary is still questionable at the safety position. So, yeah, you got pass rush. Pray to God that they can do something. We'll talk about that too. But when you look at this team and you are critiquing this team, you're paying this team some attention. This is how I read them. This is how I feel about it. If, for some strange reason, that this team only wins, say, 4 or 5 games, yeah, he should be on the hot seat. Do I think he's getting fired this year? No. Should he be fired this year? If he wins 3 games, yes. If he wins 3 games with this schedule, he should be fired. You heard it here first. There's no way in hell you can tell me with this schedule, a second year in this system, with most of your people coming back healthy, if he wins 3 games, I better see the Titanic collapse of injuries. There is absolutely no way in hell we should be winning 3 games. It's not possible. In fact, I just saw something the other day that had the top 5 teams poised to have a better season and have the most significant. I think we were number 2 with add 5 more wins or more to our 3-win record from last year, right? And that was from NFL.com, right? This stuff is not a game. You cannot come out and have a 3-win season and expect to keep your job. That's not how this works. All these sporting events, these professionals, it's about production. It's about what have you done for me lately. And if you are coming out telling me that all you're doing is simply winning 3 yeah, you got to go. You have to go. And that's my problem. But it brought me to a question that I kept trying to wrap my head around. And that question is simple. Who has the most pressure to succeed? Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, or Ben Johnson? Now, some of you are going to say you asked this question before, but it's a different question, and I'll tell you why. Because the more I look at it, the more I realize that the answer is not as clear as you would think. For me, in most cases, I would have told you, okay, 100%. We should be so much better. Boy, I tell you. Shout out to you, William. To me, just looking at it from this standpoint, the most pressure falls really on Aaron Glenn. It does. It absolutely falls on Aaron Glenn. Why? For so many reasons, right? Reason 1, if Aaron Glenn fails, his chances of becoming a head coach diminishes greatly. He cannot have a healthy defense, change up the scheme, and they fail. He can't have it. He cannot toss somebody out there and people look at him and say he's a good head coach. He has to succeed. He has to. Everybody's expecting the offense to be good and on par. The defense is the question mark. The defense is the concern. The defense is the thing that you're going to look at and say, hey, this is where we're going to get it together at. Because there are some numbers that is scary. There's some numbers that should not happen. And they talked about this on the DetroitLions.com webpage when breaking down numbers that need to change. They need to change ASAP. And when you look at these 5 numbers, it all, in most cases, point to the defense. You have to be better on defense. And to me, nobody has more pressure than him. In the case of Ben Johnson, it's his first year. If he messed up, we just chalk it up to being a rookie. Right? But in this case, he's got weapons. The offense is expected to be ahead of schedule. The defense is where we're trying to see what we get. You're still trying to figure out what to do and what we're doing with people like Okudah. Okay, keep playing them games and you don't succeed. He has so much more riding on the line. And I asked you in the chat, who do you think has the most pressure? Because for me, it's the guy who has the most to lose. The guy who was trying to get a head coaching job last year. And now he comes back here with more talent that he picked. And what I think is you cannot have a defense that will not succeed. They need to still have that same fight that they had last year. They need to actually make more plays. Sports Gamer says, I don't know why we're talking about this. This isn't going to be an issue. It can't be. That's the point. It can't be the issue. It can be a number of things, but an issue is not one of them. Because at that point, you're going to have problems. That's the issue. I said, especially now that AG is claiming he wants to be our best coordinator of all time. Pressure definitely is on. It has to be on him. You know what I mean? Penny City has a lot of pressure from retiring. He is so hard, and he should have exploded on the O-line, but decided to leave early. I think he would have been great. I don't know why he retired, what the case was, but some people just don't have it in them. And I appreciate him for being willing to say, you know what? Cool. But these 5 numbers I looked at, I said, they don't mean much to me, but I thought it was intriguing. The first number is 4.42. And what it means is average yard per rush for the Lions in 2021. NFL ranked 11th. And so he talks about this. He talks about this. Just in case you was wondering what this article is called, let me go back to the top for you people. Let me get back up there. 5 numbers to keep up. There it is. All right. So he talks about this and saying that they got to keep that. You're right. They got to keep that. They got that number because the most explosive player on your team is DeAndre Swift. But you got to stop this split carry trash. That's over. One guy needs to be the de facto numero number 1, and that's who has to ball out. Number 2, 3.2%. What this means, the percentage of catchable balls dropped by the Lions pass catchers last season. They tied 4th. You just brought back Josh Reynolds. You still got Amon-Ra St. Brown. You just drafted Jameson Williams. He'll be playing somewhere in November, but still you need him at that point. And you added in Chalk. If you still tie for 4th in drops, we got a problem. we got a problem. And I can tell you right now, it's going to be a long day. All right. I do not know how you can have these numbers and not look at it. And not ask questions about it. 21, the number of trick plays ran by the Lions. Keep running them. I hate to say that, but keep running them. And we caught everybody off guard with them. Keep it coming. 1.6%. That he says this is Goff throws just 8 interceptions on 494 attempts last season for an interception percentage of just 1.6%, tied for 5th. I mean, do we really got to talk about Jared Goff? The truth is, you need to help Jared Goff by running the ball more. You got like 3 or 4 freaking running backs. Use them. All right. And let me go down here. The 5th one, 23 for 26. Kicker Riley Patterson and Austin Sherbert combined field goals made in attempts last season. I never knew how much we was gonna miss Prater. I didn't know how much we were gonna miss Prater. I figured it was gonna be bad, but I didn't think it was gonna be that bad. I really didn't. I thought, you know what? At best, we'll have a few here and there, but God, man, we got some things that we need to pray get so much stronger. Here's the other one. He drops. These are the 5 numbers that need to change. And these are the numbers that why I think you look at people like Aaron Glenn and think he get the most pressure. Number 1, 34.7 and 45.1. What it means is third down offense and defense percentages. The NFL rankings, 31st and 29th. Yeah, I can tell you as a person who watched every single game on third down, I wanted to fight. I do not know why we didn't get off the field too many times. Hell, even in that Ravens game, if you just make the third down stop instead of giving up that big play, we don't have to talk about this. I think it was like 3rd and 100, right? And you give up that deep bomb, and the answer to that is pass rush, right? I disagree. I think we needed somebody who can cover the field, but who knows? I don't want to see us on third down struggling, whether that be offense or defense. Number 2, the number 30. What that means, the total number of sacks. I'm going to repeat the names again. Aleem McNeil. You literally added Aiden Hutchinson. You added Josh Pascal. You added Levi Onwuzurike. You brought in Michael Brockers. You literally added every freaking position you can think of for a pass rush. If we still getting 30, 35 sacks, we got a problem. And that falls on the defensive coordinator. Because you got more talent, I'm expecting to see more production. When you look at the Lions right now, you're not getting the production that you should get because 9 times out of 10, the talent is either 1, not being utilized, or 2, being put in the wrong position. And that's the problem. All right? Let's go to the next number. Let's go to the next number that he brings up. Because I saw this and I went, is this real? I had to go and look at it myself. 47.8 and 70.0. What it means, red zone efficiency for the Lions last season on offense and defense. They ranked 31st. You know why we sucked in the red zone? And it wasn't like because you couldn't really get there. It's because of what we were calling in the red zone. It was so predictable. It was literally something with the ball up the middle to Jamal Williams. Third down, try to throw a pass to the running back or something to the tight end. It was ridiculous. And it's not because of Anthony Lynn. This happened throughout the entirety of the season. And it was because that a lot of the times in that area, we overthought it. We were trying to do too much. And on the defensive side of the ball, well, good grief. We had every injury you could think of. But on third down, for some reason, even when we brought the house, the secondary couldn't cover poop with a blanket. But that's going to be resolved because Okudah's back, right? You added Hughes, right? And Deshaun Elliott, he's going to play the full 17, right? And those are things that I'm looking at that point to the defense. That, to me, scares me. Because I see these and I go, okay. I don't know if pass rush going to fix too much of that, but okay. You invested a lot into that D-line. I'm expecting to see more. The number 13, total point score on first possession of the second half. Do anybody remember that Green Bay Packers game where they came out like gangbusters with every trick play and just hit the Packers in the mouth? Anybody remember that game? And then in the second half, it was like a totally different team came to the field. Like they went in there and dressed up all their grandchildren and sent them out there because that was their dream. Anybody remember that? Or how about the games where you're looking at a team come out in the first half like, I don't know, like they really want it, only to come out in the second half and just choke it away. This happened too often last year. And again, they still are ranked 31st. These things have to change. But this one right here, this was the one that really bothered me. 14.4%, the amount of 3-and-out drives forced by the Lions defense in 2021. They were dead last. You couldn't even get them up the field on 3-and-outs. And I can name so many games where we had a chance to get them off the field on 3-and-out, and we gave up a big play. It's one of the reasons that, to me, the biggest need was a safety. Because this team, it's just not there. It doesn't make sense. When an opportunity presents itself to get the freak off the field, we're not doing it. We're not getting it done. We're not able to just simply close out the drive. And when we close it out, we come out with these same run plays where I can almost guarantee we're probably going to run a dive play up the middle first. So when I talk about the pressure of the defense, a guy who's trying to get to be a head coach, he has to change a lot of these numbers. And I understand that we ain't played a game yet. But if they can hype up Ellis Rodriguez for wearing shorts and tennis shoes, I can certainly question what needs to be improved upon this team before the start of the season and certainly before the start of training camp. You cannot keep getting to the red zone and not winning. That's where you get points. And we're not efficient enough in those areas on offense or defense to overlook it. So I'm just merely making the point that when you look at this team, that stands out to me. But then it got me to thinking, because I believe defense is an issue, it got me to thinking this team is going to come in with a lot of new faces. And so there's going to be some pressure. And so somebody asked me this question on Instagram. Shout out to Pride Nation for always keeping me in the loop. But they asked me, of all the players going into this year, who has the most to prove this year? This is they asked me. Okudah, Jared Goff, or Aiden Hutchinson? Who has the most to prove this year? You in the chat, give me your opinion. I'm curious to know what you think. Of these three players, who has the most to prove this year? Okay? Because to me, the answer is clear. It's so clear, it's scary. It makes me want to puke. Right? Like, who is the guy that has the most to prove? All right, I got my man William says Okudah. Look, I want to say all of them. Okay, I got Okudah. I got Goff, Okudah. Okay, keep them coming. I really want to know Okudah because I think my answer is going to shock you. The guy who has the most to prove is Aiden Hutchinson. What's going on, Adam? It has been a long time, man. Look, the father thing is a real thing for me, you know? I take my dad duty seriously. Anthony said the whole team has a point to prove. They need to show that they can turn their battling into wins. Otherwise, the rebuild is dead. But the reality is this: it has to be Aiden Hutchinson. He has to be the one with the most to prove, and I'll explain to you why. One, Okudah's coming off an Achilles injury, playing corner. How much more can he do? He was already struggling without the Achilles injury. I don't expect him to be doing too great with an Achilles injury. I'm sorry. I don't. I just don't. Jared Goff is who you thought he were. And we're not letting him off the hook. Go and listen to Adam. Adam on his head. Everybody's on his head. Nobody's expected for Jared Goff to be the long-term answer here. Even though I think it's some people in the Lions brass who believe that he is. Nobody is expecting him to be the long-term answer. The one thing we hang our hats on is the hope and the expectation that we got a guy who can come in and be a game changer. And that is Aiden Hutchinson. He's our game changer. He's the guy that's the future. That's why you took him second overall. That's why you took him. You took him to be the guy to change the game, to change a few of those numbers, to change those 30 sacks, to change those 3 and outs, to change those quarterback pressure numbers. You took him to be that guy. We can always talk about Jared Goff. The quarterback is the easiest thing to get to. And Adam Hockenson is not in the conversation. You get 3. You get Jared Goff, Okudah, and Aiden Hutchinson. That's what the subscriber asked. That's what I'm answering. Only those 3. If I ask the question more broad, you can name a bunch of Lions players. But he limited to those 3. Who has the most to prove? It's the guy you took second overall. He's the guy that's supposed to change it. That's supposed to make something different. And if that doesn't happen, we can chalk it up and say, yeah, rookie year. And we go, okay, there's next year. But if Jared Goff played bad, it's a simple answer. You need a whole other quarterback. If Okudah don't play bad, he is who you think he is. You get another cornerback. But Aiden ain't going nowhere if he plays bad. He's not going anywhere. And that, to me, is where it gets to be a little bit more intriguing. When he asked me the question, I was like, why are you doing this to me? I asked him seriously, why are you doing this to me? And he was like, no, I really want to answer. And I was like, dude, that's not fair. You know I'm going to get my butt chewed out for even bringing this topic up. I don't even want to talk about Michigan players because people think I hate them. And I'm just being objective. But if you look at those 3, Okudah, who has an Achilles injury, and I don't think too many people's expecting him to be great. They're just expecting him to be better than he was. Well, if he ended up being what he was, that's an improvement, I guess. But the reality is this. These are the things that I look at and I say, okay, how can we improve on this? And to me, out of those three, gun to my head, I got to pick out of those three. It's got to be the guy who took second overall. He's supposed to be our J.J. Watts, our game changer. Like, that's what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be the difference maker. And if he doesn't succeed at that, yeah, there's going to be a problem. Now, y'all know I usually get a little bit further in the show before I start dropping that link, but I'm in a good mood. I've been gone for a long time. I already see people disagreeing with me, and I can't wait to have the conversations. So I'm going ahead and put it out there. I'm going to go ahead and put it out there right there for the good people. As you can see, the link is up. All I ask is if you join the show is to keep it respectful. All I ask is that if you join the show to, come in, have an open mind, have a conversation. Now, I do agree with you, Adam, that Goff is here until his contract expires or they trade him early, whatever. I do. I never thought that he was going to be such a bridge quarterback, but I think if Goff accidentally, I'm going to say the word accidentally because I just, I've already told people I've waved the white flag on him. Okay, I've given up. I threw my hands up. I surrender. All right. I think he's an okay quarterback. I don't know if he's somebody that I want being my franchise quarterback. That's not who I'm looking for. All right. However, I do believe that he's going to be here for a while, and you should get used to it. But the reality is, if you look at those three players, whether it be Okudah, Goff, and Aiden Hutchinson, nobody has more to prove than Aiden Hutchinson. He was taken second overall. He cannot come in and be James Hall. He can't come in and be Trey Flowers. You have to be more. And if he's not, if it's one person I know is going to chew a new one, it's Adam. If he don't come in and be what people think he is, Adam is not going to let up on him. I'm not going to let up on him. When I take somebody high, I'm expecting them to be 100% there. Okay? He said, Lions is trash. Give it up. Tomato, tomato, right? I can't, So, again, link is in the description. Feel free to jump in. Now, let me get to my next one because this one right here, I know going to piss a few more people off. But I'm going to let y'all answer the question. What player on offense must produce immediately? Talk to me, people. What player on offense must produce immediately? Like, they need to 100% produce immediately. To me, the answer is 100% clear that this guy needs to produce immediately and often. You know what I mean? Like 100%. Who needs to be that guy? Let me see. We got Goff. Okay. Forbidden Knowledge says hot. See, it's weird because to me, when I hear these kind of players for Forbidden Knowledge, Hawk is so dependent upon who's throwing him the ball and what they call up. But they must produce immediately. We got Swift, Hawk. Offensive line now is healthy. Hawk and Okudah. Well, I'm going to do defense, but I guess you gave me defense too. Dacker. Did not see this one coming, Mike. Dacker needs to produce immediately. Okay. The O-line, I'll take that. He said, if they don't, they're likely gone. And you can add Swift maybe to that list too. For me, the person who needs to produce immediately is the person who's going to really be the one I think dictates the success of this team, and that's DeAndre Swift. This team will go as far as DeAndre Swift goes. If DeAndre Swift can run wild, I promise you, things will be real strange for a lot of teams. Because at that point, you're basically putting Jared Goff back into his wheelhouse. You mean to me I got a run game that you got to worry about? I can dot you up for days. Right? But to me, it has to be Swift. I think Dacker is a good one. I think the idea of the offensive line as a whole is a good one because the hype is around it. That's another one of the questions we'll be talking about. I think if you add in there Amon-Ra St. Brown, even Jared Goff, all those are good options. But to me, it starts with Swift. And Dr. Detroit, I don't want to say we're putting the whole team on Swift. What I'm telling you is we only go as far as him because he needs to be a catalyst for what they do. If he can run wild, I guarantee you everything else runs smooth, especially given what our schedule looked like. Because if you want to beat the Bills, you better run the ball on them. You play them on Thanksgiving. So if you really want to beat the Bills, you better run the ball on them. Okay? So to me, it starts with the run game. Everything starts with the run game. You're not going to say that with Jamal Williams because you know with Jamal Williams, you're going to get some consistent hard yards. But somebody that's going to make you feel uncomfortable needs to be a guy who threats. And that, to me, is where it starts. That's where it gets interesting at. All right, we got our first guest in the building. I haven't seen him in a long time. I'm feeling a little too excited. I'm going to calm myself down. You know what I mean? But he does a great job. If you don't know who I'm talking about, he's over there on Roar the Lions UK, making sure that he keep people in check. He's always keeping it 100 and talking nothing but the Detroit Lions. And I'm talking about Anthony. What's going on, brother?
Hey, what up, though, Luke? What up, though, chat? It's good to hear you again, Luke. It's been a little while. Congratulations to your little one on graduating.
Man,
Hope
he was
doing
so
well.
excited, man. I appreciate it. He was so excited. He was so excited, right, that he didn't know what to do. So I said, hey, what do you want to do? And I thought he was going to name something simple like Chuck E. Cheese. And you know what he said? He said, I want to go monster truck driving. I was like, where the hell did that come from? Monster truck driving. Where did you do that at? Can you tell me where I can find that place? So he was beyond excited, and me and his mom was beyond excited, and it's a joy to see that he did the damn thing. So 100%. But just putting it out there to you, Anthony, who do you think? Who's that guy that needs to have an immediate 100? Yeah, monster truck driving. I do not know where he got that from. He's like, Dad, I want to go monster truck driving. I'm like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean?
The kid's got ambitions.
I mean, yeah. I'm like, is that even a thing? Is that something you can do for real? It makes me wonder. Shit, I want to do it too. But who do you think? I mean, at this point on offense, which Lions player must produce immediately on offense?
See, I know it's a bit of a cop-out, but I'll put in your comments before I come on. I think now that it's healthy, it has to be the offensive line that creates, because that is the strength of our team. It's where we have experienced players. We have really good rookies in there. That's how we're going to operate. If you want DeAndre Swift to be the guy we know he can be, and you say he can be that guy, the offensive line has to work. You have to protect Jared Goff, give him time to throw all these new toys he's got. You know, we legitimately have possibly one of the best offensive lines in football. It has to fire for this team to do well. We need to play on our strengths, and that is it.
Yeah, see, and I do got to add that question about the defense production, but you bring up a point that brings me kind of to another question I want to talk about, which is I'm seeing a lot of hype and weird rankings that have the Lions offensive line like number 1, 2, 3, and I'm not buying it. I'm not. I haven't seen this whole damn line together. How can I just automatically just give them a ranking of 1, 2, or 3? I haven't seen them play together. I've seen Sewell take some snaps with a few guys, like next to like Jonah. But let's be honest, I haven't got a chance to see this line play together. I've seen what it looked like with him on one tackle and Dacker on another tackle. But guess who the guard was next to him? Big V. And I'm not saying Big V sucked. He was exactly what I thought he was, a guard. But let's be honest. Kindergarten, the best 3 years of my life. What is going on? And then he got support. Me too. Mine too. Really? This is crazy. But to me, I think that this talk and this hype about the offensive line is so great. Can they play? Can they play a game first? Can we see them take snaps together? Can we see them gel? Because they have to gel. They have to come together and get her done. And on paper, it looks good. But damn, I haven't seen a singular snap with all of them out there.
That is true, but I think again that's why I think they need to prove it from the start. You've seen what they can do individually. Ragnar's one of the best centers in football. Decker's a top 10 left tackle. Jonah had a rough start last year, but he's in his third year now and he's played really well on the for the most part. And then on the right hand side of the line, Vaitai and Sewell work really well together. They run it behind those two a lot because they bring that Pacific Islanders steel to that offensive line. You've seen individually what it can do, and now it is together. It needs to perform, but it can. That line did well last year, having Matt Nelson and Tommy Kramer and all these bit part guys in there. It still played well. So now you've got your 5 elite pieces together, and I think they all are incredibly good. That is what is going to fuel your offense this year, especially if you want to, as I say, give the ball to Swift, give the ball to Williams, get that running game going, and take all the pressure off Goff.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm not saying that I think they're going to be a problem. I'm not even saying that I think the offensive line should be downplayed. I'm saying, can we table it after we see them play together? We haven't had a chance to see them play together.
Oh no, absolutely.
I've seen some of the NFL's best offensive line take weeks to figure each other out. And what I don't want to have happen is we can only run the ball on Sewell and Big V side, but can't run to the other, or we can only run play action pass off of Decker's side, but can't do it on Sewell's side. So to me, all of that makes a difference, and all of that is why I just don't understand why we're doing rankings and hyping up stuff before they ever took a damn snap. It's almost as absurd as the Malcolm Rodriguez talk. And after before you get into it, I know you said. No,
it's fine. It's fine.
I know you say he's smart and all that, but I'm just saying he's special teams. Let's call it he's on special teams. He'll get some filler time put in there, but I've watched this Lions team closely. They rarely really play their rookies. Rarely.
See, for the most part, I would agree with you there. And most years I don't really give much credence to our day 3 picks, but I think, especially when it comes to our linebacker core this year, they've all got a very specific set of skills, which we need to utilize them correctly with. It's something we didn't do last year. We had them playing coverage. These aren't coverage linebackers we've got. Derek Barnes is not a coverage linebacker. Malcolm Rodriguez isn't going to be a coverage linebacker. These are blitz guys who like to go and affect the run game, go after and get quarterbacks. And I think you can carve out a niche for all of them in your team. I mean, Malcolm Rodriguez, I've watched his college tape. I've watched how he plays. 11 forced fumbles in the last 2 years. He likes to get at running backs. He likes to get the ball, turn it over. He's incredibly clever. His own coaches have said he has the knowledge of a year 3 rookie at this point. Those are coaches who are training him. And, they're generally quite, they don't go up hyping every rookie saying, yeah, he's going to start week 1. He's amazing. He's got a long way to go. They're giving him a lot of praise for a guy who's there. And I think he slipped in this draft. I think there is a situation with all the linebackers where you have to use them situationally, especially him when it comes to the run. So there are opportunities for him to make an impact right away. And I think that goes for the same for all of them, for Houston, for Barnes, for all these guys. You've just got to use them correctly to start with.
Which is why I'm irritated with Derek Barnes. They don't. They should have rushed him a whole lot more. If you watched him playing after George Karlaftis up in Purdue, he was sent after the quarterback often. And they just.
That's what you were talking about. Aaron Glenn being the guy who has something to prove this year. Most of all, I agree. Because the one thing he sort of had to do last year was protect his secondary. The secondary was very weak. It was full of rookies. It was full of undrafted free agents. So he kept the linebackers back a bit. He helped them in coverage. He gave them a lot of protection in the secondary. That needs to stop this year. All our linebackers really are designated blitzers. Barnes that's where he's at his best. That's where Rodriguez is at his best. If you put Houston at outside linebacker, that's where he's at his best. Blitzing, you've got a D-line that you invested a lot of money and a lot of draft picks into. You've got to get more aggressive this year. You've got to get a lot more aggressive getting after the quarterback, and that is blitzing your linebackers, leaving your secondary to it, and just sending the D-line as well. That is how this defense is going to overcome this year. Yes, you're going to leave yourself open and vulnerable, but that is the way you win. Use your linebackers, how they play. Use their speciality. That's blitzing. Don't just have them linebacking coverage, not where they're good at, not doing their job right. Got to be aggressive, and that's what Aaron Glenn has to do this year. He's got to get really aggressive with this defense and just go for broke, because it will get us more wins than being, placid about it.
But he has the most to lose. If you look at what he does, he has the most to lose. And so the fact that he's trying to be a head coach, and this reminds me so much of Terrell Austin. Remember when the Lions had Terrell Austin and we just knew he was gone, right? And then that next year, it was a strange defensive year, and he wasn't really given a shot. He wasn't really given a chance. What's going on, Sky Guy? But yeah, he wasn't really given a chance. And to me, it's strange. Now, I got to pay some bills. If you did not hear, I have also joined on to the Man Hour, where we are now live on Roku. So if you want to watch it on Roku, you just go over there to the Roku. And we're live on other streaming podcasts as well. And we're on Facebook now and Twitter and a host of other things. But yeah, I'm with Mark with my Man Hour and Buck and all the beautiful guys over there. Buck has a strange love team. And then you have let me see who we got. We got a Kansas City Chiefs fan, a Packers fan. You know what? You'll see him. I'm gonna have him come on, and then we'll do our due diligence to talk about our NFC North teams and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm rocking with them. So you're gonna see some new faces and names in here, and I hope you guys love what's going on here and subscribe and keep it coming. Now, speaking of games, this was a question that I thought about, because I 100% looked at the Lions schedule and I came up to this honest to God question. Let me read this. Rodriguez needs to be checked. He needs to grow for him to be effective. I hope by year 2 he's a 50 to 60% snap guy. The kid needs to grow slow, and the kid will be pretty decent for us. Don't tell us that. The media got this man like he's the second coming of Lawrence Taylor or Luke Kuechly or some. I mean, good grief. He's so special. Really? Just find it. I find it funny. Shout out to my man DeAndre Baker, says Detroit needs Derek Barnes to take a huge step in 2022. I can agree with that. I think in order for him to do that, it's going to come down to Aaron Glenn. Usage is everything. One of the most egregious usages I ever seen was Isaiah Simmons. And it took their general manager to basically tell the head coach, I didn't take this guy 8th overall for you to do what you're doing with him. Get him in the game. And then they let him play the next year, and he balled. So
agreed, yeah. It was terrible to see him not get used how he should. And there's no excuse this year. The defensive line that line should be mauling holes for these blitzing guys to go through and cause problems. So you have to use him like that. And this is this is a test for Glenn. You've got to make the best out of the players you have at your disposal, not be passive and just try and protect. You've got to know what you're good at and roll with it. That's what certain teams do. It's what the Patriots do. They run the ball. They know they're good at it. That's what they do. They don't try and get fancy. That's what Aaron Glenn's got to do. He's just got to get aggressive this year and go at his disposal, because he didn't get any coverage linebackers for Christmas. So, don't
forget the safeties. We got one safety.
Exactly. We got no coverage linebackers for Christmas. So, you've got some good blitzing line ones. Use them to their advantage. Use them what they're good at. You'll get more production out of them. You'll not have this where they sort of roll over and they struggle because they've been asked to do what they're not good at.
Well, Anthony, I came up with 5 games. 5 games. 5 games the Lions must win this season. 5. I know this sounds strange, but I literally looked at the schedule and I was like, oh, these are the 5 games they absolutely have to win. Let's play a little game. Wait a minute. What? Isaiah Simmons ball last year? Not sure about that. What? Wait. Are you saying he didn't ball last year? Is that what you're saying? I think you might want to go and check that. I really think you might want to go and check that. I don't know if are you being serious or not, but yeah, I think he's probably the first player that I could think of in recent time that hit Derrick Henry head on and stopped him. I don't think there's too many people who can say they did that. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm the strange one here. But yeah, I think he balled last year.
Oh, you're right. He's a great example of a player who was misused in scheme, and then when it was corrected, you saw the player that you invested in. So I actually think it's a very apt example that you're using.
I'm just saying, you're talking about a guy with 105 total tackles, 70 of them solo. 70. He got 1.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, an interception, 7 pass defense. I mean, you take his numbers and you won't even come close to a linebacker on our team with those numbers. And you're going to look at the division. He would, if you took his numbers right now, what he did last year, and put him in our division, he might have had the best numbers of the linebackers. Like, seriously, he balled.
It'd be Malcolm Rodriguez's stats this year. I'm joking. He's going to do well, though, Luke.
We know the great Malcolm Rodriguez is about to take it over. We know this.
I think we will have a conversation during the season where you will admit you are pleasantly surprised by him. I will hang my hat on that. And if I'm wrong, then I will come on your show and say, Luke, I'm totally wrong. Because that is what I do. I will live and die by my takes, but there is something a little bit different about this day 3 pick.
He says there is. It has to be. I think there is, but I don't think it's this year. I think we got to taper some of the excitement and let some play. Because think about it, right? I mean, let me knock on all the goddamn wood I can find. Let me just give me a second. I want to find some wood. Okay. He can have a Nakuda injury, and now we don't have the same player. I was hyped for Mikel Lashore, and then that happened, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. Right? So anything can happen. I think we got to taper it. He's going to be a special teams guy, and that's the reality. And I love my man JK. JK always thinks I'm strange, but we may have talked about this. Isaiah Simmons has been used in a way that gave him a chance to perform, and he did. All right. So he said, yeah, tackling Derrick Henry head on by yourself is impressive. It is. How many people can say they did that head on? Like, he's still being used. That could be true. That could be true. It says our safeties from Baltimore did that too. No. This is I want to say it was a goal line or something. He didn't have no speed. He didn't have a lot of time to gain no speed. He met that man in the hole and stopped him. That I don't know. Arizona should have swapped Simmons to the weak side more and play him back a bit off the set. It would literally kill off side of the fit. Hey, man, listen, I'm just saying. How many games do you think the Lions must win? Let me take it. Let me rephrase this, Anthony. How many games do you see on the Lions' schedule that you say, oh, they have to win those games?
Well, how many that we have to, or how many that I think we're going
to? I think there are 5 games on this schedule that are very significant that the Lions must win.
I think there are probably at least 6 or 7 for me that I would like us to win, because they are against teams who at this point of where we're at, we should be beating, or we should at least be running very close. And I would be concerned if we didn't, you know me, look, I'm generally one of the more positive guys sort of around here and that. And, if we don't do so well, I always look for the bright side. But this year I've got big expectations and I expect them to be met. And I do see 6 or 7, which I'm already eyeing up, which I'm thinking, yeah, I want us to put in a performance here and beat them.
So what is the first game that you have them, and you let me know to scroll down? What's the first game that you say is a significant game that they must win?
So, for me, week 1 is very critical into saying how far we can go this year. Obviously, the Eagles are a good team, and if we can beat them, because again, this is going to be one of those where it comes to an investment in the trenches as to how well you do. Philly's trenches are good as well. They've invested like we have. It's, how are we going to do against them? If we don't win, I don't care. But if we can beat them, then I would be very optimistic for our season. But I think the first one is certainly Washington. I'm For them, they've got Carson Wentz in there, who is, for me, no better than Jared Goff. I think their offense, it's okay, but it's one I would want to be beating. If you think Washington are kind of in a rebuild at the minute, I mean, I know they've got Wentz in and say they want to win. The defense is good, but for me, they represent that sort of middling team who are in purgatory, and we are trying to move up with the rookies that we have. So I want to see as well, especially as it's at home as well.
Okay.
That's sort of the standard. Those sort of teams and below I want to be going at now. And Washington, for me, is one that I really want us to win. That'd be the first one where I'd be like, right, this is where I want the win to come.
All right. And any other games that stand out to you that you think are like significant games?
I think the Seahawks is another one because everyone goes, oh, well, it's the Seahawks. They're very good. But obviously, they've lost Russell Wilson. The quarterback situation is funny. That defense of theirs has been rotten the last few years. They've blown things up there, really. They're in a rebuild. And yes, they've still got some very good pieces left. They put down a lot of points on us this year, but they're in disarray. When you don't have a quarterback, when all your good senior players are leaving, that again is the sort of outfit where you're like, they're in a bit of purgatory at the minute and you don't really know where they're going. And, I want to be beating teams like this because, we might not have the flashiest team yet, but, we have a lot of rookie talent in here. On the offense, we have possibly a top 10 offense. If it hums properly, top 10 or 12, it can put points up. The defense is meant to take, a step forward. The Seahawks, again, I'm looking at them and I want to win that. And I would be disappointed if we don't. It's a statement win, but, it's not a good team there.
Okay. Shout out to my man Steve, who's another counterpart to Roar the Lions UK, who says win 7 games or I riot. Yeah, I'm a riot because they won 7 games. You got to win more than that for me. But I got to reach out to you, man, because I've been finding some new hip hop people, man. I'm really digging Coast Contra right now. So check them out if you get a chance. All right, and let me tell you how I'm feeling, so I can kind of get caught up to where you are. For me, the first game's got to be the season opener, and it's simple to me. It's the season opener. We haven't really been winning in the season opener. And the worst part about it is in those season opener games, what I'm noticing is they're either close or they're runaways early in the games, and then we fight to come back. No. If you are who I think you are as a coaching staff, you have to win week 1 because that win, not only is it a conference win, it sets up you to springboard yourself to the next few games, and it's one of your few home games that you get. So I want to make sure that we win at home. That's important. The second game that stood out to me as a absolute significant game that they must win is the Dallas Cowboys, and then I'll explain to you why. So obviously at this point you'll be coming off a bye week, and so far when I've watched this team off of the bye week, I've been less than impressed. I've questioned their motivation. What the hell were they doing on that bye week? I mean, were they just getting a bunch of chips and beers and chilling? Like, what the hell is going on? And to me, to come out from that game, to go on the road against a team that many people was going to pick you to lose and smack them in the mouth in Dallas sets a whole different stage. Why? Because what it does is it tells people up front that we are here. Not to mention, because you're coming off that bye week, you need to grab as many wins as possible, and I always expect that you'll get a lot early on. This will just be more icing on the cake. The next game that you have to win that I found to be significant is the Green Bay Packers Week 9, and I'm talking particularly this game right here, and it's a reason why. This is your first game at home against the Green Bay Packers. If there's ever a chance for you to let them know that they need to get their popcorn ready, this is it. And after you have already won a number of games and you're coming into this, your stadium will be on your side. You will have a 12th, 13th, and 14th man at that stadium. If you start off the way I'm thinking you're going to start off and you get to this first game against the Packers and the Packers do travel well, that game will be off the chain. But what you need to do in this game by winning this game is it sets up the table to let you know that down the stretch, you will be all right. The fourth game that I believe needs to be a win, and it's a significant game for me to look for a win, comes in the name of the Buffalo Bills. I know some of y'all going to say, Luke, you have lost your damn mind and you think they're going to really beat the Buffalo Bills and blah, 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 blah. I get it. But see, this is why I want this to be a win that they have to win. You're coming off of a very, very, very short week. You're going to be going up against a Buffalo team who's going to be highly motivated. Many people are picking them to go to the Super Bowl. And they're going to come in here thinking that they're going to have an easy win. And it's your job to let them know that they have to play a football team. It's your job to let them know that this is not show up and get a win day. They need to come out of there with casualties. People need to come out of there knowing that they were in a fight. And to me, winning this game, not only does it set it up, it tells the world that you have arrived. It tells the world that you have the right coaching staff, that you are not only are you on the right direction in this franchise, but you are starting to set a foundation that goes beyond this. It also gives us something that we haven't had in a long time, which is a win on Thanksgiving. A chance to eat my food in peace, knowing that my team got a win against a quality opponent. That needs to happen. But then it's the last game. The last game that I just look at and I go, we got to win this game. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. There's no way to get around it. And it's simple. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Well, Luke, why is that? This team just picked first overall. Probably going to end up picking in the top 5 again in the upcoming draft. And on top of all that, you're going to come off another week of rest to play this team. If you're dropping the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars and you beat the Buffalo Bills, I got a problem with that. Because once you go through and you secure these 2 games, I can assure you that these players on these games are not coming to want to play. They're not showing up with the same motivation. Minnesota's not pulling up, acting like, hey, we coming to Detroit. This is an easy win. They're going to have players who are hurt and yelling and screaming and in pain trying to get on the damn field. But if you come out and lose to Jacksonville, oh, well, your win against the Buffalo Bills is a fluke.
So I agree with the Jaguars, but for me, I'm looking at it from a different way. I mean, I know you've put in some big teams there who you want statement wins over. For me, I want to beat the teams that show me that my team's making tangible progress in its rebuild this year. So back to the Eagles game. The Eagles game's huge for me for this season. If we can knock off the Eagles at home, then you will find me on the train that we can get a wild card, because I think it will be that significant with our schedule if we can knock them off. If we lose, we still win a lot of games, but I mean, for me, it sets the tone for the season. But I want to beat the teams this year whom I want us to be, I expect us to be better than at this point now. So the Chicago Bears, I expect a sweep. The Chicago Bears are straight trash. I know they have Justin Fields, but they have not invested in protecting him yet again, and they've not really invested in weapons for him to throw at. All that defense that's carried that trash franchise for years has gone. All the good players have gone apart from Robert Quinn. And, they are below us. They are right at the bottom of their rebuild. And if we can't beat them and if we can't finish above them this year, then, you said at the outset of the show, Dan Campbell should be on the hot seat this year. He bloody well should be. If we can't beat the Bears this year, if we can't finish above the Bears, I'm ready to pull the plug now. They're that bad. So I want a sweep of them. The Jaguars I want to beat as well. And I want to beat the Jets as well, specifically because those 2 teams have been picking high recently, but they're also on the rebuild structure. And, the Jags on paper have a pretty good offense. They do. And the Jets have got some good pieces in there as well. I want to beat these teams so that I can say to people, my franchise is moving forwards. These teams are in the same situation as us, and we're beating them. We're getting better. So those are the sort of games I'm looking at, and I want to see us start to dominate on these teams. Because if we don't, then, I don't know what to say. We're going to have a lot of problems going forward. We've got to start winning games this year. Anyone who says, we can have another bad year, a down year, it's only year 2, get the hell out. I don't want to listen to that.
Listen, I'm totally with you. I'm not doing this whole weekend. I'm sick of this stuff. I'm sick of subscribing to things that we don't know why we subscribe to them. Why? Everything takes 3 freaking years. It doesn't. The culture has been changed in less than a year. This is nothing. Any person who wants to challenge me and say that's not the case, I'm here. The link is in the description. Feel free to join and come talk some ball. I'm an open book to it. But the reality is this. If this team is to be who we think they are, they have to win games.
Exactly. You have to give your rookies a winning environment for them to develop better. I don't subscribe to this theory that, rookies can endure losing all the time and then get good. At the end of the day, there's going to come a day when the Detroit Lions are in a high pressure situation to win a game. And if a rookie's gone through 2-3 years of losing consistently, he's not going to have the mental fortitude to come through and win that game. And
Right.
losing just does not give you that. Winning games means so much. I mean, look what happened after that Minnesota Vikings touchdown last year, first win. Look how the team elevated after that. Look how much harder it fought. I mean, it went 10% even above what it was already doing. The confidence was there. The rookies were balling. They looked so much better because they were winning games. And that's what you have to do this year, because we've got that much rookie talent here that you've got to develop them in a way that's not just, oh, they've got a year's experience. We're going somewhere. No, sorry. They've got to learn to win games. And if you can't win games this year against the likes of the Chicago Bears, against the likes of Jacksonville, against the likes of the Jets, etc., then that's just saying to me that, we've got a problem. There is something in there that they just haven't got. You've got to start putting in wins. You've got to start putting in statements. And, I'd love to see it be like a Bills-esque team this year. I would love to see a statement like that. I don't think we're that high yet, but there are lots of teams this year who we can put up a statement against. And we need to. It's fundamental for this rebuild, because another top 5 pick could be the end of it for me. I'm that down on what's going to happen if we're not good this year.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the idea that 7 wins is acceptable, 6 is acceptable, 5, it's an improvement. You know what's an improvement? Improvements happen when it counts, right? When it matters, right? Like, for example, right? Like and I hate to use this as the example, but this is the one I could think of, right? Like, if you are playing, I don't know, basketball, and you got a chance to get a guy that's, say, 7'1", or a guy that's 7'7", you're like, I want the taller guy. I want the guy that's going to be a problem for people, because it matters. It has an effect on it. Well, for the Lions, winning 2 more games than they won the previous year doesn't have any real effect on the Lions. It's much of the same. It doesn't change anything. You didn't really grow from it. There's no significance to 2 wins. Getting 3 more wins is not enough. You need to be in the mix for playoffs, and you need to be in the position to at least threat for a position in the playoffs. And if you don't do that, that's the problem.
Yeah, and winning, it's not just about winning about your own players, but it is about the image of your franchise. You are a franchise that is going places. That is what you want to say to free agents coming here. Yes, we are getting some guys coming in at the minute because we give opportunity to people. But, when next year, for example, we've got like 70 million in cap next year. We've got a lot of draft picks next year. We've got a lot to play with. If we're offering services next year, the Bears have more than us. And, they historically have done a little bit better than what we have. If you're offering those 2 franchises together to, free agents who could come in, good free agents who could come in and help you, they want to pick the team that's got the brightest future. They don't want to pick Detroit when they're picking top 5 or top 10 for the 5th or 6th year in a row, do they? And those are the guys we're going to need next year, because we've got all this rookie stuff now. For the first time in forever, we're going to have a good free agency budget next year to be able to get those guys to take us over the edge into the promised land. And for that, you need to have an attractive proposition as a franchise. So again,
you can't do it with 6 wins. You cannot do it with 6 or 5 wins.
No, and not on a trash schedule against 4th from every division and a very weak NFC North. It's the Packers, then there's a Grand Canyon-esque chasm to the Vikings and everyone else. And, you can't get with 6 wins when the NFC in general is that weak. 6 wins is nowhere near enough. And you've got a lot of teams around you who are having similar problems. And we're supposed to be a team on the up who's drafted well, who's getting good players in, who's getting better, who fights harder than anyone else does. It's got to translate on the win column. It really, really does.
And if it don't, then it definitely is a problem. 2 guys on the podcast, shout out to the family, says, Luke, what week does Swift get over 1,000 yards rushing from the line of scrimmage? Then does he hit 17? I don't think he hit 1,700 total yards, because they're going to forever split a lot of that stuff with Jamal Williams and Reynolds and whoever else they decide to keep at running back. But
can we talk about this, Luke, please? I know we've mentioned it a lot on your Discord and you've chatted, but I do think you are a little harsh towards Jamal Williams. I see why they start him. For me...
Oh, please tell me why. Please explain to me why they start the lesser talent.
So the big issue for me is durability. And I hate to come back to it, but DeAndre Swift has not shown that he can be durable. Or he can't be your running back one bell cow type guy to come in, take all the hits and stay healthy all the time. He's had injury issues over his career. So you have to manage that. Even, Deuce Staley came out and said he's got to learn how to handle pain and stuff like that better, how to work through it. He's had issues with durability. So at the start of the game, when defensive tackles are hitting just that little bit harder, when the hits are coming in, you need someone who's a little bit durable and tougher. And Jamal Williams, for the most part, has been very healthy during his career. Yes, he has worked in a lot of rotations, but I see Jamal put in a lot of effort to get some of the hard yards early on. And then Swift comes in and takes over when the defense is gassed a little bit, when you can use him a little bit more effectively, etc. I like the way they do it. I would rather him be in there taking the heavy hits to start with and then unleashing Swift when the defense starts to tire. I thought it worked well that way. DeAndre had some good production this time last year, but I think it's why you don't see Jamal get a lot of the production there either. He's getting thrown in straight at the start. For me, I don't want to risk Swift's long-term health. I think with our running back room, we have to work by committee. I don't want to risk injuring Swift, doing it all on his own, and then not having him at all. I would rather use him situationally.
Yeah, I think I can follow your logic. The durability is a question that I think most people can point to and say, yeah, that's what it is. But the reality is this: the offense is more explosive with Swift in the backfield. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. I don't care. That. I don't care if there's an issue of durability. Then ride him to the damn wheels fall off. Because unfortunately, the reality is he was taken as a second round pick for a reason, and he's supposed to come in and give you explosiveness. I'm not saying that thunder and lightning don't work. It does. Lightning and thunder do work because most times before you hit a thunder, the lightning has already struck, and then the thunder comes after. I think when you look at that dynamic and you look at it, that's where they need to be at. And keep in mind, I don't have a problem with them using Jamal Williams. I have a problem with him starting and getting equal snaps as DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift needs to have significantly more snaps than him because at that point, you're getting a more explosive guy, and you can't treat him like he's theoretic. When you let a running back run and the volume starts to build up and they get into a rhythm, they get better. But when you use them in spots, here, there, sparingly, situationally, stuff like that, you don't get the best back because 9 times out of 10, the guys who are doing that spot running are veterans who just want a less workload. Unless you're Frank Gore and he think he can go until Tom Brady retires. But still, this team is better with him as the starter. Nobody lines up and say, "Ooh, stop Jamal Williams."
No, I get that. I think just like I said, from my point of view, I can understand why they do it. And I think, that I'm okay with that. But I mean, come on, how many true running backs in this league now sort of really do the whole load themselves? I mean, got Derrick Henry, but he's built like a fridge. But I mean, even guys like Nick Chubb, he's got a Kareem Hunt there who you work in and you mix it up with. I think some of the best running back rooms you will get is... Mike.
Look, I think Mike Malcolm Rodriguez should be running back. I mean, the hype is there.
Yeah, but I think you'll get your best running back room, especially with us, if you use them correctly. I mean, if you use them rotationally. I think we saw that last year. Craig Reynolds did well last year. Jamar Jefferson was doing well until the Seahawks injured him. DeAndre Swift had a pretty good year, receiving and running the ball. I think for us, I think that is the key, is just using them correctly in the rotation, because that's how you keep your running backs healthy all season long. And we've got an offensive line this year which is fully healthy for a change, which is going to help no end. We've got no bloody Matt Nelson in there trying to run block or anything like that. So, it's... Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
I just think it may be a little...
Who's the backup running back to Barry Sanders?
Oh, hang on, Luke. I was born in 1989, so.
All right, let me bring it a little bit more recent.
You're gonna have to forgive me here.
No, you're good. Let me bring it a little bit more recent. I'm gonna bring it a little bit more recent. All right, who's the backup running back to Christian McCaffrey?
It was the one that went to. Oh God. Damn it, you've got me here. I do know his name. It's just.
It's a reason I'm asking this question.
Yeah, but hang on. McCaffrey's been injured the last 2 years.
I know.
From being overused by his team.
I know.
I mean, they bought him back last year.
I know.
When he was injured and he got injured again.
But they put him. But the thing is this. The thing is this. They're putting him in because they know that it changes the way that a defense has to view the offense. Let's go to another player, right? Who's the backup running back to Alvin Kamara?
Oh, they use all sorts there at. It's Taysom Hill, isn't it? He does every role there.
I'm just saying. I mean, just think about it. So you start to go through the list and you start to look at these running backs, right? And you start to look at those guys. Like you can name the backup easily to Nick Chubb, right? We know it's Kareem Hunt, right? But Kareem Hunt was already an established running back who they attempted to do the split carry with, and then obviously he got hurt last year. But even before he got hurt, they would still give him a majority of the carries to Chubb. And when you go through and you look at most of these teams, the teams who have it, like everybody know who Cook is, but we don't really care about Madison.
But again, you're talking about running backs who are durable. Dalvin Cook plays all the time. Alvin Kamara plays all the time. McCaffrey up till a few years ago plays all the time, and Swift can't do that. That's not a knock on him. It's just a thing of he can't.
I don't know if we can say Swift can't do it, because the thing is this. When you look at Swift, when they gave him opportunities in volume, he produced. And he would have produced against the Bears had he not got hurt. But the problem is we keep using him. We do it. It's not just him. This all dated back to freaking Kevin Smith. They would give Kevin Smith the ball, and then whoever they took behind him would get all the passing plays. We got to stop that. You got to have a guy who's a dual threat, because they're not making the running backs like Barry or Emmett like that anymore. You're not getting too many. And Derrick Henry is an odd thing too, because he got to stay consistent to put his stamp on it. But they're not making them like that no more. Hell, even the Pittsburgh Steelers media is starting to turn on Najee Harris because they said he didn't break any long runs or show any ability to have any explosive plays. DeAndre Swift has that. And when you're starting a guy and Jamal Williams, who does not have that, where I can go to games and show you that this guy couldn't bounce it outside, yeah, we got a problem. So for me, I'm under the belief that, like you said, the Panthers, even if you put them out there, they have to account for DeAndre Swift. They have to. Because if you look at all of our rushing touchdowns, all of the ones we got, they came on most of the big runs from Swift. You're not getting that from Jamal Williams.
I know, I get it, but I think there is a way, you can negate that. Our good friend SW Lion talks about it all the time. You use two back sets. You can put him in there and not use him. And
I'm cool with
I think that might be a sort of happy medium to what we have here. Because I know we did use two back sets a little bit last year. And you got Kabindi.
But you realize that Jamal Williams had 153 rushing attempts compared to 151 from Swift. That's way too damn close. Because at that point, if you're telling me the argument is he's not durable, where he only got 2 less carries, they didn't deem him not to be durable, so why are they not running him more? He got 2 less carries on 151 compared to 153.
Yeah, but Swift also played nearly 100 snaps as a receiver. He was getting used as a receiver a lot.
Which is the problem. They turned him to Theo Reddick. And the reason I question that is because I might be wrong about this, but wasn't Dan Campbell here when we had Theo Reddick as a player?
No, it's not. No, Theo Reddick's not that long ago, is he?
I feel like Theo Reddick been around for the longest. I feel like he ain't played for the good part of his career. I feel like he's been around for a while. I could be wrong, but I think he was. I could be wrong.
I don't know. I mean, I guess this is this what? Is this last year? Is it Swift last year now, or is second to last year? I mean, I guess you're at a point now where you can say, right, just throw them out there, use them as much as you can, get what you can, and then, see what happens. I mean, I guess you can do that, but, this team has shown that they look after their players, their welfare in that. I think if there's still issues about the durability, the split carries will remain. But I think there's a way you can make it work.
Two guys in the podcast says, with that projected and hyped O-line, the run game should average 220 yards a game. Or I would say they should average well over 150 a game. Because to me, that shows that you're trying to play to his strength. You're running the ball first and you're consistent with it, and everything else is falling into place. That's what they're saying.
I agree. I think you should expect a lot of rushing yards this year because, again, the O-line did really well last year, missing its starting left tackle, its starting center, and, the rest of it, the line's banged up, and there's all sorts of players, guys plugging and playing in there. Now that you've got your true five in there, you will be able to run over a lot of teams. And I expect that this year. That's one of the big battles when, teams, we're playing good teams with good defensive lines. I will say, well, look, my offensive line is better than you. I expect them to win and do better because it's the one aspect of our team which will be as close to elite really as you can get in our situation. So I would expect a lot of rushing yards this year out of them. And if not, again, you've got to start questioning the line that you spent 3 first-round picks on. A third-round pick and $10 million on a card a year. So, again, expectations are very high for it, but
it should be though, and it should be for the head coach. It should be for the offensive coordinator. It should be for the defensive coordinator. It should be for our first overall pick that we took second overall, the 12th overall pick, and the second pick that we took at 46. Those expectations should be high.
Oh, I agree. No more excuses. We were 3 field goals away from winning 6 games last year with what has been, quote unquote, one of our worst teams we've had in a long time. In a very long time, in terms of just the sheer amount of rookies, undrafted free agents, and that who were in there, and they came within 3 field goals of 6 wins. So the bar just goes up after that. For me, if you can do that well with so little, now that we've had another offseason where we're getting a slate of guys back from injury, where we've had another really good draft. Got our rookies going into the second years, some of them with some serious momentum behind them. The quarterback finally has confidence, which he didn't have at the start of last year. There is no reason they should not be going into this season and winning games against teams who are on a similar sort of scale to us.
Listen, if you go through and you look at this schedule, right? Like I was confident about last year's schedule, and I really thought that they had a chance to win between 9 games. And they had some close calls, but obviously couldn't pull it out. Injuries played a part. In my opinion, they should beat the Eagles. They should beat the Washington Commanders. They should beat Minnesota. They should beat the Seahawks, right? New England, I hate to say it, but they should beat them too. The only games that I feel like are going to be tough bouts are Dallas, Green Bay, Buffalo. That's it. That's it. I feel like we should be able to win way more games than that. I think we should sweep the Bears. I don't think we really should be splitting with the Vikings, but hey, if you did, okay, sweep the Bears, split with the Vikings, split with the Packers. That's still 4-2 in the division alone. Then you should be beating the Panthers. That's 5. You should be beating the Jets. That's 6. You should be beating Jacksonville. That's 7. The Giants, 8. All right. Then you start to go into this. Seattle, 9. So even without us playing the Eagles, Washington, Patriots, Dolphins, or Jets, that's 9 wins right there.
Oh, agreed. I think obviously you have to sort of say, right, we're not just thinking these are guaranteed wins, but if this team comes and plays as hard as it did last year, if its rookies, develop at the rate they did last year, if the injury bug can be at least even just half of what it was last year, then, your opportunities in these games are there. They're not guaranteed wins, but if you turn up and ball and put on a performance, the games are winnable. So, there are plenty, like you said, we're not going to win all now of those 9, I don't think, but there are plenty of opportunities for you to go out there and get wins if you go out and bust your ass off, work hard and play well. So there are no excuses because you have a lot of opportunities to do that this year.
So the question was asked, what time is that Eagles game at home for Detroit? It's 1:00. Pretty much all of our games are at 1:00.
That's wonderful for us. No late nights for us here.
Yeah. But two guys in the podcast said if Hutch plays 15 games, how many sacks? Is 10 the floor for him? Yes.
Well, yeah, I know me and you have, I guess, specifically been critical on this, but given the expectations that were set for all the other players who we suggested for pick 2, it has to be the same for him. And this is not like Hutch is coming into a situation where he's the only guy on the edge rushing unit who they're going to double up on all the time and show extra special attention. That defensive line has had a lot of effort invested into it. When you've got Aleem as your nose, when you've got Levi coming back healthy, you've got Pascal in there, you've got Brockers in there. And on the other side, you've got Charles Harris. You will have Romeo Okwara coming back. These are seasoned vets who did well last year, who will command attention on the line. So, he's coming into a situation where he should at least have a little bit of freedom to come in and make plays. So if that defensive line can live up to its billing and progress as it should, there's no reason why the productivity shouldn't be able to be there for him. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be do and die if he doesn't. Obviously, I will watch the tape and give him, as honest a review as possible. No bias in it, but I would like to see it near the double figures because I just think he's not the only guy in there. So if he's that good, one-on-ones, he will have good success with.
Yeah, and if you just go through and look at the tackles he's getting ready to go against, I don't know how you don't beat these tackles. I don't. If you go through and look at every game starting tackle that he's going to play, and many of them probably won't even be starting by the time he plays them, I'm sorry. If you're that guy, 10 is the floor. You have to give me 10 sacks. And if you give me single-digit sacks, let me just tell you, for the guys who have given out single-digit sacks, like J.J. Watts, who had 5.5, the legitimate studs came back and had double-digit sacks every year after that. It just makes it harder for you. So if you go out and get single-digit sacks, then guess what? Nobody respects you anyway, and now it becomes even more harder. But if you come out and have double-digit sacks, at least if you're not having that success, they can argue that you're being double-teamed, or somebody's like, look, that dude had 12 sacks or 14 sacks or whatever. We need to make sure he's watched. And that's just the reality of it. Now, Tactical Puma, I did not say that they're going to start off 0-5. What I said is there are 5 games that I do not feel that the Lions cannot win. In other words, meaning that those are 5 winnable games. Yeah. It's not like they're just going to start off 5-0, but those are certainly winnable games.
And that's my point as well. There are, 10, 11 legitimate games we can win this year. If the situation is right, if we play well, and like I say, the players are developing the way they should do. They're battling the way they should do. There are 10 or 11 legitimate games we can win. We are not going to win them all. That is just not going to happen. That's not the way how the league works. But, the opportunities are there. It's not like we can say that we're coming up against the Rams and that every single week and we've just got no hope and we're going to get blown out, etc. It's not. There are a lot of teams here who we can beat and we should be beating some of them. And, it's not acceptable to lose them all.
Right, yeah. I'm not saying that they're going to start off 5-0, but do I think they're going to start off in the first few games with at least 3-2 record? Yeah, that's where you need to be at in the first quarter of that season.
If you're not up at 2 by that bye, then alarm bells should be ringing. Really, they should be.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, yes, we are still in the rebuild, but your quarterback's in year 2 of this. Most of your team is in year 2. You've already changed the culture. Hell, you got me want to play again, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to take you through this. Yeah, are we in a rebuild? Yes, but, you look at our offense. We have a decent quarterback. He's not going to light the league on fire, but we have a decent quarterback who can win you games. You have got one of the best offensive lines on paper in football. Your wide receiver core has now been completely replenished. Mixture of good rookies. You've brought in a vet in Chalk who's going to be healthy. So there's no reason they can't do well. You've got a good running back room with depth in there, proven depth that we had last year. This offense is a good offense that should be able to put up points and win games if the play calling is right. So, it's year 2 of a rebuild. I don't care. We have an offense to win us games. If the defense can come through and do enough in games, you should be able to win games. And, I don't exactly. With this schedule against these teams, if your offense can come out and fire and your defense can do enough to keep you in games, get them all 3 and outs, get themselves off the field, stop themselves getting gassed all the time. That's what happens in the blowouts. offense can't stay on the field and defense can't get off the field, and you get blown out, and that needs to change. But are we in a rebuild? Yeah,
but something happened in those blowouts too.
Yeah, that's no excuse to not win games. What we're going to do next year in year 3 of the it's year 3 of the rebuild. There's always going to be an excuse. There's always going to be an excuse why you can't go forward. If you think like that, there has to be a time when you put a statement out there and say, look, we're actually doing something. We're not just in such and such year of a rebuild, so there's no expectations, there's nothing there. You have to go and say, look, we're making tangible progress. And this is the year where you have to say that you're making progress and you start winning games. Because you've got a lot of cap space coming next year. You've got another lot of good draft picks coming next year. Next year is when you should be tipped over the edge from winning games to competing for the playoffs, getting into the postseason. That's the schedule here, and that's the schedule you should be following. Not, we'll do it in 3 or 4 years' time when all our talent's gone because they're fed up of losing all the time. What if we lose this year? Ragnar wants to leave, Decker wants to leave, Hot goes, Swift goes. You've got to start again then. And what's the point? Is that going to be year 1 of a new rebuild? Right. I'm tired of hearing those excuses.
Yep. And it's getting dated. Like I said, with more hype and expectations for Malcolm Rodriguez than everybody else, and I'm sick of that. Looney Tunes says, Luke, how many rushing yards do you think we'll get versus Philly? 165 as a team. I think we get 165 and at least 2 touchdowns. I think Philly is going to have its work cut out because they're going to keep trying to make Hurts the guy. And I think with the way that we're coming in, they don't know what we're about. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to try to come out and establish the run. And that's going to get shut down. And then they're going to come out and try to make Hurts the guy. And at that point, that's when the money we spent on the second overall pick comes into play with him and Charles Harris.
So this is a perfect example for me of what I'm on about and having expectations this year and expecting my team to do well. Because, people will talk about the Philly game and they'll go, but they've just signed Hassan Reddick and, they've just got Jordan Davis in the draft and what an athletic freak he was in college and would have been picked to yada, yada, yada. That's all very well. They might have good players on that team. But on my offensive line, Jordan Davis is going to be facing off against Frank Ragnar, who is a top 2 center in the NFL. He's going to be no match for him, and I would expect him to be no match for him. Hassan Reddick coming off the side, he's going to be going up against Taylor Decker, who's a top 10 left tackle, and he's going to be going up against Penei Sewell, who's one of the best young tackles in the league, period. I expect him to have a bloody tough time against those. I expect those guys to go out there and whip him, really. That's what I expect. So I expect the run game to flow in that. And if we struggle with it, you can't say, they've got some good players in there. I'll be like, well, why have my good players not worked? My good players should be beating, their players who are not as good.
Yep.
So that is what is big for me about this Eagles game first week. I don't care if we lose just by a little bit or anything, but Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have said from the start, winning games is about trench warfare. Winning your battles in the trenches, imposing your will on the opposition team. And they have got an offensive line which is as close to ready as it's ever going to be, in a really good situation. And you've got a defensive line where they have invested so much in it, money-wise and draft pick-wise. Got to start seeing results somewhere along the line. You really do. And if they can't impose their will this year, then again, that's another thing you have to question. So we can't just keep waiting and waiting and waiting for these things to happen. We've just spent the last 2 drafts packing out the trenches and we've spent money on it. So I expect to see results with it. So I expect us to put a good deal of rushing yards on the Eagles.
Yeah, and plus not to mention you're at home. If you can, if not at home, where? You're at home. Mark says, how many trick plays called week 1? I think honestly 1, and I think it's going to be on special teams. 1. I'll be surprised if they do more than 1. I think this is going to be a game of more about letting you know we here. Smash you in your mouth and get out of there. Detroit D says, what up, though, Luke and the family pride? What up, dude? Let me see. Make sure I get down here. I'll make sure I don't miss nobody now. Oh, wait a minute. God dang it. This thing skipped quick. All right. Fast Darwin, you gotta hope not. It says, yes, I don't think we'll be shutting down anyone's run game this year.
Well, if that's the case, then you need to start getting worried worried very quickly because
Yeah.
we have invested in the edges and sealing them, and in the middle you've got Aleem in there, you've got Levi in there. Aleem specifically bought in to help with the run game. Levi can help in there with the run game
and
as
Brockers,
well. And like I said,
kicking
Brockers, and as I said, you've now got a linebacking core where, if used correctly, guys like Malcolm Rodriguez, guys like Derek Barnes, all these guys in there, guys like James Houston, are designed to help stop the run, and you've got to use them that way. And if you're leaking every single week to the run with all these guys and all this resources you've committed in there, then warning bells need to start going off in your head very, very damn quickly. I expect us to go hard against the run this year. There's no Nick Williams in there getting in mauled every run this year, and Brockers, get split apart like the Red Sea. There's guys in there who are going to battle and not going to get moved around. And I want to see the run yards against us go down massively.
Plus, I'm not worried about Vic Davis over there, because the dude, he 2 snaps and he done. 2 snaps. If the first 2 snaps are a run play, he's done.
Well, like you say, yeah, and he's coming up against one of the best centers in the NFL. So
center and guard combinations. If you think about it, he's going to get a whole lot of Jonah Jackson and Frank Ragnow. Frank Ragnow's probably going to be given single duty,
and he's going to be getting Big V as well.
But it's his first game. Nerves going to be setting in. He's going to be out of breath. Trust me, the crowd going to be booing and yelling every time he moves. Boo! I mean, come on. I just don't see it.
No, there are very few defensive lines this year that I want to see us struggle, or not want to see us struggle against, but might expect to see us struggle with a bit. The guys on my side of the ball, on my offensive line, are better than the majority of what they're going to be facing at their positions. And, there's no excuse for them to not show that on the field. For me, that is as simple as it is. And I think that's not unreasonable, because you have 3 first-round picks on that line. You have a 3rd-round pick on that line, and a guard you're paying £10 million a year to come here and play. And every single one of them, no one's a rookie. You've got a 2nd-year rookie who's one of the best at his position. You've got a 3rd-year rookie who's bedded in there now, and 2 of the best guys at their positions. So I expect to see results from all that investment I've seen in my offensive line, and I expect to see results quickly.
This is exactly what my interest has been with the fan base as a whole, is the low expectations. 2 guys in the podcast says better record in the first half of the season, the second half. They need to start hot, because if you go through and you look at their schedule, right? All right, let me take this down. All right, sorry about that. All right, if you go through and you look at the schedule, they play the Eagles, right? And if you want to argue that might be a tough game, cool. Washington, you want to say it might be a tough game, cool. But then you're talking about Minnesota, you're talking about Seattle, New England. To me, I like Mac Jones, but we should be beating them. You're going to get an emotional Matt Patricia trying to do too much, and I think we should be able to expose him at the way he did to us. Dallas is tough. So if you started going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so we got week 6, so 6, 7, 8. Yeah, you better start off hot early. The second half looks good once you get past this game, but if you start off early, that even if you start off early, if you drop this game, most Lions fans will forgive you, because you're probably already talking playoff contentions with games against Jacksonville, the Panthers, and the Jets, and again Minnesota. And I think the Bears is down there too.
We double head against the Bears in the second half of the season. We don't play them. So, for me, this is a big thing. You've got to have confidence. Last year, you can maybe understand why the second half was better than the first half. Entirely new team, quarterback who's got no confidence, entirely new coaching staff. It's going to take time for them to bed in. A lot of rookies in there, it did, and the second half was better. But this year, you have to start with impetus, because that second half of the season is teeming full of mid-teams who you can beat. If you're coming into that, say, 2-6, 2-7, whatever, you're not going to beat many of them. If you come in there and you're near 500, or maybe a little bit above 500, then your team is going to be brimming full of confidence, coming up against teams who are probably going to be fighting for the number 1 pick next year, or at least fighting for the top 5 spots. And you will have a great opportunity, no better opportunity to go and win a lot more games with that. But it all comes with confidence. We've seen how much Goff's confidence changes the offense. We've seen how much, the eagerness of the defense and that, getting some good plays, getting results helps them get better. Winning is the only medicine for this team. They're not experienced enough to be able to take a rough first half of the season and then just turn it around at the switch of a hat. It's wins is the only medicine. So got to be a good first half. A good first half will preclude a good second half for me. There's no other way around.
Yep. Dr. Detroit says Luke thinks this team is a 10-win team with no issues. I do. I gave you 9 wins. Hell, that's before we even played a few other teams. I gave you 9. If you're coming out this game this season with 6 wins, I'm telling you right now, he needs to be on the hot seat. I mean, hell, the Bengals head coach had to get to the Super Bowl to keep his job.
Yeah, again, it's not that we think it's a team with 10 wins with no issues. That, you know, any given Sunday, any team can beat anybody. You've got no God-given right to beat any team. But there's a difference between saying that, you know, we're definitely going to win it and that there is an opportunity to win it, a good, better than normal chance to win these games. There are so many games in there that we have a better than average chance to winning if we approach it right and if we're playing well and if we've got the confidence in there. So there is the potential to do it. I'm not saying we will. There's a big, vast difference between those two. But, you know, as we said now, the expectations need to be there. We've got to stop accepting mediocrity. Seems to be a Detroit thing. You see it with the Pistons. The Pistons have sucked for 2 years, and then they're like, oh, yeah, all the players are young this year. They can suck again this year. And next year it'll probably be, oh, you know what? You know, Dwayne Casey sucks. We'll fire him next year. That's another year we can give him away. And then it's like, there's always another excuse for mediocrity.
I wanted Patricia gone at the year 1. I was like, yep, year 1 fireman. Everybody told me it takes 3 years to change culture.
Guilty. I said give him the 3rd year. I think he had I think he should have had the opportunity to do that. But in my defense, I said if he fails, he fails. And Sheila Ford sacked him the minute we couldn't get in the playoffs, which was the right thing to do. I'll hold my hands up to that. I think coaches deserve time, but I think they also don't deserve the safety net of it's a rebuild, it's a yada 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 every single season. Without fail. And Dan Campbell won't accept it. Dan Campbell will not accept saying this is a rebuild. He will expect wins this year and he will judge himself on that because that's the kind of guy he is. And that's the right attitude to have.
But you know why I say he should have been fired the first year, right? I looked at every last one of those games and I'm like, we literally lost because of coaching decisions. like, I literally looked at every game and went, why are you calling this? Why? Why? So that's what it was.
Right, and what was the big thing with Campbell last year? We saw him grow as a coach.
Yes, I saw improvement.
It was rough to start. It was rough. The play calling was rough. A lot of the trick plays and the 4th downs we tried didn't work. It was rough. But as the season went on, he got more attuned to it. You saw him grow as a coach. When the wins came, you saw the confidence came. The players obviously buy into him as a coach. They love him as a coach. They love him as a motivator. They love the staff and what they do. And, you know, for me, that is, you know, right now, I want him 100%. No shadow of a doubt. He is the guy here for me. And this year, you know, we saw the growth of the team last year in difficult circumstances, no cap, etc. The shackles are off a little bit more this year. I expect to see a little bit more, and I don't think that's outrageous. You know, and some Lions fans would say that's outrageous. I've seen some already saying, "Oh, let's go get CJ Stroud or Bryce Young next year, like it's a number 1."
Dude,
like, oh, who cares? I care. I care about having a team that wants to win games and is showing progress and ain't just picking a shiny thing in the draft every year. That's what I want. And I don't think it's unreasonable for me to say I want to see more wins out of this team next year and Dan Campbell to continue to evolve as a head coach. You know, I think that is perfectly reasonable. And if he does that this year, he still has my backing 100%. And he will until he gives me reason to doubt otherwise. All I'm saying is there are scenarios that might happen this year which would cause me to doubt that 100%. I don't think they'll happen, but I'm not going to just shut my mind off and say anything's acceptable.
And y'all think I get angry. But you're talking about expectations. This is something that I have preached for the longest about increased expectations and things like that. And again, I remember when I first said that Aiden Hudson needs to have 10 sacks. I was told that was too many and not fair. And I'm like, what the fuck? He took a 2nd overall. You know, if he was drafted higher than Reggie White. When you put that in perspective and think about the people he was drafted higher than, yeah, I'm expecting to see something. Right, like I can get single-digit sacks from Trey Flowers. So, Tentacle Puma says 7 to 9 wins is realistic. Yes, Dr. Detroit says, Luke, you said that last year and the year before that. No, I didn't. What I said was last year was, yes, we should get 10 wins. But the year before that, when we still had Matt Patricia, I told everybody this was going to be a shit show. I told everybody that this is going to be a mistake, and that it was a mistake keeping him, and that you guys will regret it because he needs to go. He is not the answer. He needs to be fired immediately. And I told people that. I told them that don't subscribe to this. It takes 3 years crap. Because that's, I'm telling you, it takes 3 years. And I'm like, that's bull. It's baloney. And I pointed out example upon example based on history. And I got shot the hell down. Well, you capped him. And he puts you in purgatory for a while. And quickly a guy comes in. And in less than a year, what do you know? Culture change.
Right. Right. And it's like I said this time last year on our pod, expectations last year for wins and that, I didn't care about that. It was all about player development. It was about, can they develop their rookies? Can they be competitive in a really tough situation? 60 million dead cap, so many of your star players out injured. You've got to be realistic about what's going to happen. And last year we were all realistic that we were going to struggle, and we did. But, we saw the progress was there. We saw what we needed to see from the staff last year. I mean, they will disagree and say they should have won more games, etc. But, that's just who they are. But we as fans were like, yeah, it's going to be tough. But as long as we see progress, as long as we see the rookies get better, that is absolutely fine for us. And that's what we got. So this year, now you have to start thinking a little headier than that. I like to think of myself as a realist. I do. And realistically, this year, I want to see us win more games. Because I've not got at the minute anyhow, I've not got a crippling injury list that I can blame. I've not got a bad cap situation that I can blame because it's nowhere near as bad as it was last year. I've got a lot of rookies who are in year 2 now. I've got undrafted free agents who are in year 2. They're experienced. They know what this is about. We need to get better as a team and start winning games this year. And that is not unrealistic. That is not Kool-Aid, hopium type stuff. That, I'm afraid, is realism. It is realistic. This team, if it wants to go and compete in playoffs, if it wants to go after Super Bowls, it's got to start winning games and start restoring the respectability to this franchise. We can't just tank every year and be bad, because that just gives this age-old adage that we're a rubbish team. And it's true. So somewhere along the line, that the expectations have to go in line with your build. And this year, it's about wins. Plainly and simply, it's about wins. I don't want to see 2 wins and a lot of player development and them showing a lot of heart and just losing games. That's not good enough. It's got to be about wins this year. You've got to show you can take that next step into actually beating other teams, not just competing with them.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with you. Ramon, the new age says, in my opinion, Hutchinson has to get about 10 sacks as a rookie. You had a D tackle in Ndamukong Suh who played interior for majority of that season in 16 games, get 10 sacks. You had Mason Crosby, a 4th round draft pick, who got 10 sacks in 7 games but played 10 games, and he got 4 sacks in 1 game, 2 in another, and again got it done in 7 games. So it's a big thing. And again, if y'all didn't know, I am also a part of Man Hour. So right now we are streaming to Man Hour's Facebook page, Roku. Good grief. He had named so much stuff. I need to write this shit down to be better at it. I sucked today, but I was just excited to be back. But we are being covered on a host of different things and talking Lions. And again, y'all know me. This is a platform for you guys. Y'all can jump in there with me. Also, we do have a Discord where we talk Lions and everything. Have a lot of fun in there. Talk basketball, talk sports in general, talk music. I've seen some other random conversations that I was like, oh, what the hell is that about? Talk animes. And that is all linked in the description of this video. So if you want to join the Discord, please do so, where we talk sports over there and have fun with it. It's a good old time. Plus, I'm trying to figure out a way to stream in Discord without getting kicked out. I've been doing some research, but I thought YouTube was strict, man. Discord is very freaking strict. I was like, holy smokes. So, but yeah, definitely check that out. Now, let me see. We got a few more questions before we get up out of here. It says 10 sacks or cut them. Good grief, Mark. Damn. You can't cut them at the one season, but you certainly got to put expectations up high for them. I get it.
You do. And, as much as I would like to see the double-digit sacks, you do also have to take into account what he brings to that defensive line. If he is drawing double teams, chip blocks, etc., a lot of attention, and we're getting a lot of sacks because of that, that is a positive of having him in there. You do have to, judge him by every, set of data going. You can't just have it on sacks. I would like it to be. I would like to see him get a lot of sacks on there, but you do have to take his entire game into account and what he does. But you would expect to see a tangible improvement on this defensive line because of him. You would expect to see that.
At least you would expect, yeah. Elijah Hanna says, I can't see more than 6 wins this year. I'll take that bet. Let's try, Elijah.
I'll take an over. I will take an over.
I just want to see. What are the 6 wins you see us getting, Elijah? Show me. I'm gonna give you the schedule. I'll try to go slow. First game is against the Eagles. What are the 6 games you see us winning? Because I can assure you that you can sweep the Bears. That's 2. You can split with the Packers. You can split with Minnesota. That's 4 total wins right there. If you beat the Seattle Seahawks, which you should, that's 5. The Panthers is 6. The Giants should be 7, right? I just want to see these 6 wins. So the Giants should be 7.
This way, our team last year split with the Vikings and the Packers, and that was last year's team. This team is better. This team is better than last year's team.
But I'm just showing that we can get well over 6 wins just looking at our opponents. Jacksonville put us at 7. The Jets should be another one. That's 8. You're looking at these numbers right now. 6 wins seems like not saying that you could be wrong, but 6 wins to me tells me that we need to put Dan Campbell on the hot seat. I'm sorry, but at that point, you did the culture change. You've had 2 drafts, and I got a total of 9 wins in 2 seasons. That sounds real freaking familiar to me, and this disturbing.
I think what would happen if we won 6 games this year, my expectations for next year would get a lot higher for what is acceptable. I would be demanding playoffs next year if we only won 6, because that would be the type of leap it would take for me to believe that the rebuild was still on track. For me, that would be the case. So I would be very disappointed with 6 personally.
I would too.
It's just, there would have to be a massive leap in year 3 for me to believe that, that would be a stall for me. We could have won 6 last year, but for 3 field goals with that team. That just shows, you made the mistake of thinking this is just a 3-win team last year. It was very close to not being a 3-win team. It had more in it. It was very fine margins. And, a little bit of that was inexperience in the secondary, inexperience in the play calling. They're all a year more experience now, and you would expect them problems to start to clear up a little bit. You would expect those fine margins to turn from narrow losses into wins. And then you would expect the games you weren't winning before, you'd have a better chance in them. So 6 is vastly disappointing this year.
That's right. What's going on, PC Payload? What's going on? My man Drew is in the building. Shout out to Drew. Okay, Drew. If y'all don't know, Drew is also a co-host with me. Drew is so analytical that he has no problem checking my ass. Like it's downright scary. But he's also not only a lifer, he likes the Ravens, and he has his own YouTube channel, which you should definitely check out and get into it. Plus, he has a podcast where he talks all things Star Wars. And one of the things I'm really, I don't know if everybody sees Obi-Wan Kenobi.
He makes you do double your research to make sure your point's right.
I mean, right? You know what I'm saying?
I have to double and triple check everything now.
Like, what the hell? But it says, he says, I also wouldn't mind seeing a good amount of tackles for a loss from Hutchinson too. I mean, yes, I could take that too. But the NFL for some reason is afraid of sacks. And don't let Joe Burrow tell you different, okay? They are afraid of sacks because sacks are plays that create negative yardage, and it does help the defense in those regards. If you don't believe it, just look at your own Detroit Lions when they had negative yardage. It wasn't pretty. We could just run the ball and get a few yards here and there. I say 6 due to no backup quarterback. Ouch. So you're predicting that he may get hurt. Also, shout out to my man Jim live in the building. He said sweep the Packers. No, I said sweep the Bears. Split with the Packers.
That's a different question. If Goff gets injured, then you can start talking about 1, 2, 3 wins. That's how bad it will be if he doesn't start the season. But we're assuming Goff stays healthy because, for the most part, he avoids trouble and avoids hits. So, he's pretty healthy as things go. But
am I the only one that noticed that he actually has the Raven hat on in this photo? Drew is a rebel at heart.
Well, hang on. They played their first team in the first half of that game, and we were winning at halftime.
Yes.
Yes, they had the backups out for the second half, but for the first half they didn't, and we were still winning.
Yeah, we were smacking them. We were smacking them around.
It's not a full victory, I gather that, but it was a very good performance regardless. It was still a real. There are times in past when we've gotten beaten up by Packers backups. And you have to take our team then. Our team by the end of last season, everyone was on IR at this point. It's not like we were fielding our first choice side either. And they
I've never heard once a team's fan base or the people sit there and be like, "Oh my God, this team played the Lions. That's why they had a good record." I've never heard that. You play who you play. You win, you lose. It is what it is. It's the reason why they got excited when the Lions was not expected to beat the Cardinals, and they did. So I get it though. My 6 wins: Washington, Seattle, Panthers, Chiefs, Vikings, Jags. Okay. 8 and 9 wins minimum is the expectation. Yes, it needs to be. 8 wins minimum needs to be at, because at least you're in the mix to get a playoff spot. I was having a conversation with a guy the other day, because my kid and his kid are best of buddies, and so we were out there letting them have their little fun. And he was like, "Hey, I don't think that the Lions can make the playoffs if they win 9 games." And I said, "Well, I think they can." And he goes, "Well, I think it'll be 3 teams from the NFC West." And I was like, "I don't." Who are these 3 teams? I mean, you got the Rams, and then you get the 49ers, but who's that third one? Who are we talking about here? Arizona? No, I don't think so. But
it's not guaranteed 1 win a year. Arizona is.
Had Goff not been injured, we would have won at least 2 more games.
Well, yeah, people forget we suffered a lot of hardship last year, because you remember after we beat the Vikings, I think it was, we had the COVID out. Well, not the COVID. We had a little bit of a COVID outbreak, and then we had a massive flu outbreak as well, and then we had to go to Denver with 48 players, and I think 6 or 7 of them they said were barely fit enough to suit up, and the league went and made us play there. When teams like the Ravens and that got, extensions to games, we were really undermanned for that Denver game, and that was even worse. That's sort of what we got put under last year. It was the league wasn't kind to us either. We could have maybe gone there and given them a game last year the way we were playing, not for that everyone was out because of COVID and flu.
Well, Looney Tunes said, yeah, Matt Patricia also did have 9 wins in 2 years. Again, that's
and Matt Patricia inherited a much better side.
Yeah. Again, but it's still 9 wins in 2 years. I don't like how that sounds. Just makes me want to puke. That's all I'm saying. All right, let me see. Let me hit on a few more, man. Then I got to get out of here. I've been on for 2 hours and 2 minutes. I have, again, for those who are just joining me, this is not only being streamed on my channel, but it's also being streamed on Roku and a few other places I'm forgetting. But we also have the Facebook page, and it's all done through Man Hour, who has asked me to be their Lions content creator. So I do all the Lions content creator for Man Hour, and then they also have other people who do content for other teams. And so they're building up the roster for the 32 teams. And if you want to get in on it, you're having fun with it, then give me a shout out and we'll get you in the building. Just having fun with it. So let me see. Make sure I ain't forgetting nobody else. I think people unfairly not giving Blau or Boyles any chance to succeed. They do have tools to work with, and they are gaining continuity and expert. I mean,
Blau had his chance a few years back when Stafford went down for half the season with a much better team and much better wide receivers. He had Golladay and Jones and that back then, and he did nothing with them.
Yeah, but I don't blame that on Blau, though. I do not blame that on Blau. I thought Tim Boyles was the hot garbage. I mean, it was a tragedy. It was a train wreck. What's another word you can use? It was a Titanic sink.
But that's my point. Blau had half a season, did nothing, and then he couldn't supplant Boyle last year when he was injured and playing bad.
See, I don't think it was a matter of him not being able to supplant Boyle. I think they just, and this is one of the reasons why Anthony Lynn didn't work here, because Anthony Lynn wanted Swift to be the starting running back, and other heads wanted it to be Jamal Williams because they don't made some kind of back alley deal that he's the starter. And
Anthony Lynn was rubbish at his job.
I disagree. I disagree.
Well, I respectfully disagree with you that he was very predictable in what he did.
He's predictable because he's being restricted to what he can do. If you're telling him that, oh, you're going to have to start, I'll put it this way.
So you're telling me that when Lynn's there, you're saying he's restricted in what he can do, but then all the stuff they pulled out at the second half of the season when they were trick playing, fake punts, all that sort of stuff. You're saying he was restricted when they did all that in the second half of the season. That was about as unrestricted a play call.
But he wasn't calling the plays then. It was Dan Campbell and them, and he was just putting in the game plans for it. And that's what I'm saying. I think, to me, I watched a guy who wanted somebody else to play, and they outvoted him on it and said, no, we're not doing it. And when you go through and you look at just in general, I mean, why was Derek Barnes not being put in? You go out and Alex Anzalone keeps keeping a damn job. Why is he still here? Why is some of the things that's happened in the first place? Why are we going into the season with just one safety at that point? So for me, I can't put it on Lynn. I think even now, right? Deuce Staley's voice is louder than everybody else. He's out here calling out running backs and shit. He's telling Swift he got to be more tough, and he's telling Jamar Jefferson, step it up. And I'm like, what the hell? Like you giving opportunities? They're not doing that. I'm just saying, in all fairness, with Blau, I think you would have got more out of it if it's not for some of the restrictions and stuff that they have, where they're not giving him a fair shot. They didn't give a lot of people a fair shot to start. You came into the season, started that damn thing with Jamie Collins, and he pissed himself all over again and pissed me off, and then they finally got rid of him. But then if you go through and you look at the games against the 49ers, Derek Barnes was a huge significant difference in a lot of those plays being stopped, and a host of other games where he came in. I'm just merely making a point that these things are happening because people are not doing that. They're not giving people a fair shot. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. I just think there's too big a difference between the first and second half of last year for it to be a coincidence. But you could be right. But, I'm just excited to see this year. I think Ben Johnson will be a very good OC for us. And even if he does split with Campbell got better as the year went on. He knew the limits of what his team could and could not do, and was a lot more sensible with it. And, the offense was unpredictable. So, and that's what you need an offense to be. You need it to be unpredictable to be in opposition. So I'm just looking forward to seeing it this year, especially now it's healthy. It's going to be I think people are really going to be surprised by the amount of points we can put up this year.
Did we start off 0-9? We didn't start off 0-9.
We were 0-9-1, weren't we? We'd had the draw before then, I think.
I thought we had something else like a draw. Yeah, I don't know.
I think we were 0-8-1.
That's what I thought it was. I can't.
It was close. It was close.
I can't remember. But nonetheless, that's the case. Yeah, Paul, we talked about this earlier, or at least I did, where I said they have already made bets, said that he's going to be the first one fired. But that's because they are expecting high expectations, which is weird because they're the same ones that also have a bet out that say he's going to win Coach of the Year. So
you can tell how rubbish that is because Cliff Kingsbury had lesser odds. He was less likely to be fired, and he's underachieved now with a much better team for years. He should legitimately be one of the hottest seats in football now. So if they start off poorly, he should be fired a lot quicker than Campbell should be. So that's how much credence you should pay to these lists. They're absolutely rubbish.
Elijah said, I like Burns, but he is slow on the cover. I don't know if I would say he's not
a coverage linebacker, though. You watch his Purdue highlights. He is a linebacker designed to get in the backfield and cause havoc. That is what he is good at, and that is what Aaron Glenn needs to learn this year. He needs to learn how to use his guys. Dan Campbell talks about mismatches all the time. Barnes is a mismatch when he's blitzing. So use him as a blitzer, not a coverage guy. Use your other coverage guys for that. Use Board or Ansel or whoever the hell's in there with him. Use someone else for that. Use Barnes for what he's good at.
All right, people. It has been 2 hours and 8 minutes. I will be doing this more often. Hopefully, I can keep things going. And then I always have it to where you can jump in with me and do it. Can't thank you enough, Anthony, for jumping in, having some fun with me. And slowing me because I was finna have a full-fledged rant, but then you did it for me about expectations. So kudos to you. I'm sick of it. I do not understand the mindset of higher expectations for guys who are going to be practice squad to career backups. I don't get it.
I know, I get it. It's kind of been nice as well, just to get it all out there a little bit. But again, just like you say, there's, do you have too high expectations about maybe some of the day three picks and that? There's no reason you can't have high expectations about the Lions this season and the games that they can possibly win if they play well, and the progress that you should see on the pitch this year. You should see a lot more, and hopefully we're going to see that, and we can all be happy come the season's end. Maybe have 8-9 wins. Even if we don't get the playoffs, you get 8 or 9 wins. That's a really good year. That's a really good year. And then next year you can say, right, let's really make a push for the playoffs now and really show we mean business. So I'm looking forward to it.
B for real, I'm gonna hit this comment last because I do want to make sure I get it. But it said B for real says Lynn was reduced to the run game coordinator and Johnson to the pass game coordinator. And again, you know that his voice was not going to be heard at no point in time when you got people like Deuce Staley calling out every running back but Jamal Williams. When is he going to tell Jamal Williams to step it up? Because all the guys he's calling out was doing bigger runs and bigger yardages than that guy that they got, who was a little bit more consistent in that case of short yardage. But still, he was no threat to no one. So just saying, Anthony, make sure you plug the people. Let the people know where they can find you and the family at. Y'all been holding things down. You, Mike, and everybody that's doing the Lion content has been holding things down. Where can they find you at, man?
Yeah, so you can find us at Roar of the Lions UK. We are,
it's in the description.
We are a bunch of Detroit Lions fans over here in Britain, a few of us in England, Scotland, even one over in Wales. So we're a group of guys over here who just love to get together and talk Lions. You will find us on most Monday nights. We didn't tonight because we've had a little break, and then we do a Detroit Lions podcast on Monday. Myself and one of the other guys, we do a college football podcast on the Wednesdays. We look at the prospects of next year, etc. We're starting that up again in a few weeks, and you can find us over Twitter, all those areas at the same handle, Roar at Lions UK. If you want to come and check us out, we would really appreciate it. And again, Luke, thank you to you for letting us come on here and chat with you. I've really enjoyed this evening. In fairness, I've not done a lot of podcasting the last few weeks. The draft took it out of me, and I've had a little bit of burnout. But tonight I've sort of come on and I've re-felt it come back into me, and I'm like, right, ready to go and start producing new stuff now and doing bits. So, as always, just can't thank you enough for having us on, and I love doing this with you. So never change. I love the show. And big shout out to all you guys in the chat as well. I love coming on here and chatting with you all. So it's always great fun. Even if I'm not on here chatting with you, you'll find me in the comments and that knocking away. So always come and say hi.
Hey, listen, I love what y'all do over there, and I love the support that you guys give to the Lions and to the Lions community. Is unmatched, and I'm proud. Shout out to my man Paul Jarose, who says Luke G has been a lot of fun. Glad I got on the chat. I'm glad you got on the chat too. Next time, jump in, have a little conversation. The link is there. All you need really is a cell phone that got a mic or mouthpiece to it. You don't need a computer to hop on. When I put that link in the description, that's for anybody to jump in and tell me I'm batshit crazy or they agree with me or whatever. It's your time to be a part of it. So thank you for jumping on. Antonio Jenkins says, "Look, was you?" No, absolutely not. No. If you're trading any damn thing, it better be for a safety or linebacker. We're done with D linemen. It's over. Get used to it. The guy that you see is who's going to be here. Get used to it. No. But thank you for the question, though. I do love it. Because he says, dang, I'm late. Yeah, I've been on for about 2 hours and 13 minutes now. Went a little bit longer than I wanted to. All right. Y'all know me, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all for coming in and rocking with me. Shout out to Man Hour, okay, where we do all things football and sports in general. You know me, I cannot end a show unless I do it on a positive note, and this is it don't get no more positive than this. This quote, I do not know exactly who said this, but I thought this was dope. It is better to trip with your feet than with your tongue. I'm gonna say that again. It is better to trip with your feet than with your tongue. Some of y'all don't be realizing the power of what you say. I know we all have a bad day here and there, but you need to understand the abilities and the energy that is brought from the tongue in which you tripped up with. See, you can take back the fall. You can laugh at it on your way down. You may hurt a few things, a few bruises here, a few scratches or scuffs. That may happen. But you know what? When you heal from it, you only hurt yourself. And if you tripped and hurt somebody else, you can always somehow get back to your feet as a reminder that no matter how bad it is, you can stand again. But when you trip with the tongue, the words in which you say can have damaging outcomes. It can have effects that go way beyond what you thought they could. A simple "you got this" can be as uplifting as "you ain't nothing," can be as down destroying and destructive. You have to be held accountable for what you say. You must be aware that the words that you use and that come out of your mouth have consequences. When you tell somebody good job or good morning, it's a reason why the word good is in front. It is a reminder of the things that they have and that they should be paying attention to. But when you have a moment where you had to slip of the tongue, where you've tripped or you've made the mistake to say something that you said, and you often say, well, I can take it back with a simple apology, it burns deeper, it digs deeper. It's like a weed killer that goes deep to the roots. It will stay there and fester, and even when they forgive you, they will never forget the moment you tripped. I implore you to have more caution in when you speak. In fact, it's almost better to just be able to listen, because many of us just need a helping ear. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. Go on over to Man Hour and hit the like, notification bell with them as well. And if you are new to the show, hope you enjoyed today's show. Again, it is an open forum that anybody can join and have fun with me on, and it is always going to be that way. Just ask to keep it respectful. And if you don't do nothing else at all, I'll always end every show with this simple quote. Don't be no chump. Please do your research. We are out.